I've been shipwrecked, but I'm back. Seriously, I'm back. I got this. If you haven't transitioned in life, this one's got a chip in it, but if you haven't transitioned in life to pottery or stone-based coffee drinking products, it's time to upgrade that life, bud. It's time to upgrade that life. I just want to say that it's been a minute and I'm very excited to be back. Life over the last few months has well and truly shipwrecked me, and I have been on the survival mode train for some time. Basically from the day that I aimed to achieve 30 days of edited videos uploaded every day for 30 days. And I didn't quite make it. Nah, it's shit. I am on my Pirate Think comeback tour, and I'm very excited to kick this one in the freaking... Who doesn't like pirates? In the nice people living in harmony in their village's dick. I'm just going to kick him. Because I'm a freaking pirate, and although I was shipwrecked, I've dug up some treasure for you. What I actually realized is the night before I left on our family holiday to Port Douglas, I had filmed and edited the final, well, not the final, but there's, out of a 30-day challenge, I only got 10 videos out, but there's an 11th video. And the 11th video got recorded, and I edited it, and I uploaded it on YouTube, and then I ran out of time and we headed off on our family holiday. And I had every intention of trying to do a 10-minute video every day while I was away on holiday and keep this 30-day kind of vibe thing alive, and thought also I'll be in Port Douglas, so how cool will it be to do some nice videos in some really nice locations. Anyway, after that last episode was filmed, we went on, left early in the morning to go to Port Douglas and start this holiday, and I never filmed an episode since, and there's lots to unpack of the emotional grief journey of that. But that was like the sailing into beautiful seas of Port Douglas of family holiday, and then just like fucking crashing. Just yeah. The ship wasn't great at that particular time, which caused a fairly significant shipwreck that definitely left me stranded for some time. The best thing about having time stranded in a period of growth or in a season of whatever is that it gives you time to think. And I dug up some treasure. I dug up the 11th video that never went to air. And after all this time, it's probably been, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months. And I've been getting pushed by some friends of mine to get back into doing these podcasts and get back on the train. And I ended up finding this episode. And as I pressed play, I had totally forgot I even recorded it, or I had no idea what it was about, nothing. And I just thought I'll just see what this is. And I started watching it. And it was in that moment I saw a very empowered, driven, focused, whatever it is, guy. And over the course of the coming weeks, months, I would be bombarded with some pretty big and drastic life events that would cause a both emotional and a mental shipwrecking on my current trajectory of where I was heading. And this is by no means the first one. And I also I don't think it'll be the last. I think life is filled with these voyages and these journeys that some end in success and some end in being shipwrecked. But anyway, I found this video, and my first thoughts when I started watching the video is I was actually engrossed in it for the first 5 minutes, and I was absorbing some of the stuff until I kind of thought, fucking shut up, Brad. Like, look at you, slick haircut, bloody, heading to Port Douglas, fucking, charging. Good on you, bud. Like, where were you, mate? Where were you the last few months, bud? But I thought that was a real catalyst for me in shifting back on kind of reestablishing, reorganize, reprioritize, work out what I need through this moment of capacity to continue to move forward. So this podcast, I want to just launch into that video. We've actually technically done episode 1 because I managed to have a conversation with my good mate Matt last night. Matt has been a very, very dear friend of mine for many years and has been a really founded friend in just life and journey and stuff like that. And I worked out on this little podcast system kind of that I've got connected to the computer and doing everything that I could Bluetooth a phone to it so I could have callers kind of call in. So I'd never really played with that before, and I was just happened to be on the phone with Matt, and we just kind of rolled into it. So we've got about a 40-minute podcast of us essentially just talking shit, really. It's very raw, but at the same time, it's probably just very real. Actually, it's fairly tamed down. We were fairly tame. But there's some good stuff in it, and it really got the momentum flowing. So, but I just wanted to put this together, throw it up with the episode 11 of the Supercharged Brad, and I would love to hear your comments and your perspectives on the two. Very different people, very different time of life, and very different sets of expectations and situations and struggles. Anyway, welcome to Pirate Think. And yes, I did have my Mr. Wilson while I was stranded on my island.
We have made it. Monday is over. I'm going to lose the glasses. Check the hair, camera. Right. Here we are, Monday. I was actually dreading this, and then as soon as I turned all the lights off and got all ready and sat down, I just felt this buzz of energy, which is exciting because I feel that is the new thing, is the energy is back and the excitement is back. And it probably doesn't help that I am heading off to Port Douglas first thing tomorrow morning with my beautiful family, which I'm really excited about. Just so keen to shut down completely and wind down. We have 8 nights in the beautiful Port Douglas, and then when we get back, we will be 4 weeks away from our 3rd beautiful little girl being born. So Mama Bear is pretty large at the moment, and we are setting off on a wild adventure to have a quick baby moon, and I'm very excited because it's been a big year already. So just really keen to get some quality time with the girls and just hang out as a fam and get some rest and relaxation. So I thought today on Pirate Think that I would kind of just unpack that a little bit for you around so often we are driven in our lives to achieve goals and chase things and have a crack at things and invest time, and we've got expectations of being able to do a certain amount of stuff in our life by a certain amount of time. And I feel generally our life anyway is fairly... Look, if you're driven to some capacity, there's some people that could potentially be watching this and you sit on the couch and eat burritos while potentially watching Brad on TV. And that's okay, but there's other people that are fairly driven. And I know that just for a driven person, the feeling of not achieving something can almost be as bad or overwhelming for someone who's just leaving nothing and a slob on the couch and going, oh, my life sucks, right? The mental space that person is to, oh, life's so hard and it sucks, is very similar to a driven person's like, I've achieved so much, but I haven't quite got to my goal. It can really hurt us at times and can really feel like, oh, this is big and overwhelming. And so for a driven person, one of the hard things to pull back on or reflect on in their time is actually just taking a break and learning to know that when your capacity is full, and this is now an opportunity for me to learn and grow and expand my capacity through this kind of ceiling or through this stretching feeling that you were going through in your capacity. But also sometimes we hit our capacity levels and it's no longer time to push hard and learn something. And it's actually time to just calm down. It's time to chill the fuck out and just take it easy. Now, I'm a big advocate of, I suppose, work-life balance. As a guy who runs a business with multiple staff that's a service-based and trade-based business, it has a whole bunch of complexities by itself that for a lot of people, I know that there's plenty of business owners around that would complain about the size of, you know, how hard it is to run a business and all the standard whinging stuff, which I don't really get. I get, but at the same time, I don't think it's actually that hard or I think they're just whinging. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why I could unpack, but that doesn't matter. I think that I've always had a really strong stance around, and it was probably partly driven from my wife as well, who is also a very driven person. And there's times in life that both of us have had to kind of grab the reins of each other a little bit. Not like that, obviously that, but I'm not talking about that. But we need to grab the reins and just woe each other up a little bit and just give each other the gentle reminder that in our drive, that in our push for stuff, we also need to be really wise. And now that we've got young kids as well, even more so, really wise about the capacity level ceilings that we hit and the push and internal drive to achieve things. When I started really, I suppose, scaling up with staff in my current business, and I knew it had a great potential to do what it currently has done, I knew that there would be a large investment, but I was really strategic from day dot that I wanted to set a culture both for myself and for my staff around that we don't really work weekends, that we have good work-life balances. Even so much so that I encourage my guys, if they say my daughter's got a basketball game, I would love to do it. Can I leave half an hour early or an hour early? Mine would be, will you get all the game if you do that? Or will it better, do you want to just take an annual leave or an RDO and take that day and spend that day with your family? I would rather give them greater opportunity and push them into a place of great work-life balance. One, because I feel if you encourage that and release that, you get a much better worker out of them because they actually feel supported and that their boss genuinely cares about them. And I genuinely care about my employees. And I would also push them. There's no such thing as a sick day for me as far as physically sick. I say to a lot of my guys that I know in the trade industries and in the labor industry, it can be a pretty hard life. And a lot of the guys that we employ have been through some shit in their life. And so I don't expect them to just have it all together, and I expect their flaws, and I expect the things that a lot of business people whinge about or business owners complain about. I expect that because it's kind of like, this is who we're employing and I want to be there for them and I want to support them and I want to see them grow. But part of that for me really is opening up an opportunity of space and not having to just jam pack every hour. It's like just as much as our body needs fitness and energy in and good food and exercise and stuff like that, rest for our minds, rest for our bodies is one of the most important things. And I think there's an opportunity sometimes when we hit a capacity or just an overwhelmed place of our life where we feel like life is just really full and busy and hectic and we're getting overwhelmed. I think it's in those moments we can either drop back to dopamine fueled compensations and tasks that we maybe would have better habits on in our life, but we slip back into old habits, maybe drinking, maybe smoking, maybe stopping going to the gym, maybe these bad habits that we slip, eating more junk food, binge watching a bit more TV, and these, as we're reaching our capacity level, our capacity to be hyper aware of them and be on top of them and be structured goes out the window, and we can replace this high capacity moment in our life with these dopamine fueled replacements. And that's a really specific time to be watchful for if you know that you are a habit-based person or you fall into or don't break habits easily. It's in those times of feeling overwhelmed in life that you have the highest probability that you will slip into these past bad habits. But it's also the time that I believe that if you can manage to not slip into those bad habits, but once again, you can have enough presence of mind to prioritize and structure your life. And more than anything, you will find at those times you need to be prioritizing sleep and rest. If you do that, the quicker you jump onto sleep and rest, the quicker you will find that you actually get through that capacity ceiling, or you give your mind and your body enough space to actually unpack and understand. I think when we continue to push and drive and we're hitting a ceiling and it's just like, this is not a breakthrough moment, man. This is like a just blow it up, pull it back, take it easy, give yourself a breather, pull off any expectation that you've got for whatever it is, pull off any risk and things that you've been worried about and all this stuff, and just strip back and give yourself an opportunity to just revitalize and regenerate yourself and your mind. And you know what? You could probably face the same scenario 2-3 days later after getting some really early nights and some good solid sleep. you will address the situation so much different than if those 3 nights you'd been worried and started sipping on the piss again and banging down a 6-pack every night, or going to bed stoned, or getting back into these bad habits that would bring about an undoing or a further unraveling. And it might feel like these things mask the stuff in the moment, but what they are doing is setting up old habits again and setting you on a track for further failure and hitting a further capacity ceiling and feeling more and more overwhelmed. Or rest. And so I am in a beautiful place right now where business is going well. Things are very busy and chaotic, but yet I'm very clear in my head. So much so, I say to my business partner, I said, if it all falls to shit while I'm away, in my head, I've already expected the worst. What's the worst that's going to happen? If everyone just sits at home and no one does anything while I'm away on holidays, worst case, it's going to cost me 20 grand and I get back and we just hit the ball rolling. But I'm not going to stress even about that going away. Otherwise, why am I going away? So in order for me to just completely go, you know what? I'm going to let go of the reins. I'm not going to check in. I'm going to leave everyone to their own devices. And whatever I come back to when I get back from my holiday, I am genuinely in my heart okay with that. And I think that's the place that you need to get to, especially when you're running a business and when you're in charge of people. You need to get to a place where you are prioritizing yourself, you are looking after your rest, you are doing those things. And when you do have a rest or a moment to stop, that you are doing that completely and fully. And that's what I'm planning to do. Of course, I'm going to be talking to you beautiful people because I feel that is filling my soul right now. And part of me really wanted to do this challenge across a bit of downtime. I'm very much so, my head will be in a million places. And if I'm not focusing on my job or my business or work, I will very quickly float off into 1,000 other things that I have great passion for, and doing these pieces to camera, working on YouTube stuff, working on websites, working on e-commerce, a whole bunch of stuff. I just feel my passion comes out, and I will fill it with doing some awesome stuff on holiday that I really feel is creative and nourishing for my soul. Anyway, that's a great ramble. It is 7:30 at night, all 7 o'clock at night. Kids have just gone down. Wife is doing the final packing. I need to pack all of this camera gear up and set an out of office for my email because Pirate think we are going to Port Douglas. See you guys.